What's going on, everybody? Back again for another episode of Sunday Reset with Will and Friends. And today, I'm joined by Catharine Arnston. Catharine is the founder and CEO of ENERGYbits and a leading expert in algae nutrition. Her journey began with a deep dive into the science of spirulina and chlorella, two of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. Today, she's on a mission to educate the world about how these powerful algae can support energy, longevity, gut health, and cellular repair. Catharine is a passionate entrepreneur and wellness advocate whose science-backed insights and deeply personal story make this conversation one you don't want to forget. Catharine, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Will. Yeah. I'm going to make algae one of your new friends. Your best friend, hopefully.
And see, that's where I have to start the show. I have to so I got to be honest, when, the subject was first brought up, the word algae got thrown out. I think I was with my family, funny enough. And I went, any of you ever thought about eating algae?
I know.
So I got to ask, how does one stumble upon this?
I know, poor algae. It's got such a bum rap. It's the only thing people think of when they think of algae here in North America is pond scum or junk in your aquarium or swimming pool, or it closes your favorite beach. And so algae needed a makeover, and it found me. I tell people I didn't find algae; it found me. And honestly, I argue with the universe for the first 5 or 6 years. Like, find somebody else who can do this, because there's so much science which will stun you, because all you think of algae, I'm sure, is, as I said, pond scum. So here's the situation. First of all, you're going to learn on this podcast it's the most nutrient-dense food in the world that will literally save your life, save your brain, save your health in ways that are all documented in science, 100,000 studies. So by now you may be thinking, well, if it's so super, why don't I know about it? And I'll tell you why you don't know about it either, but you will want to know about it. So I was minding my own business. I'm actually Canadian by birth. I had an MBA. I have an MBA, and I was doing international business, nothing to do with nutrition or algae for that matter. And I have 2 sisters left with me. My parents have passed. So I'm very close to my 2 sisters, who both live in Canada. And 17 years ago, my younger sister developed breast cancer. And her oncologist, which is a cancer specialist, told her that she needed to change her diet to an alkaline diet because it was important for her healing. Now, they didn't tell her what an alkaline diet was or what specifically it did. So the first call my baby sister made was to me, because I'm just a very passionate person. I'm very good in research, whatever it is, and I love my sister. And I said, I have no idea what this alkaline diet stuff is, but I will find out. And I did. I just went online, and basically it was a plant-based diet because of the chlorophyll in the phytonutrients that build your immune system. And of course, that's documented in science. And my sister was going to go through chemotherapy, so her oncologist wanted her to have a strong immune system. But I also uncovered something else very, very interesting. It turns out that when your cells are alkaline, they prevent cancer from growing to expanding into them. And this was proven by a German scientist by the name of Otto Warburg back in the 30s in Germany. And he won a Nobel Prize for discovering that cancer cannot exist in cells that are slightly alkaline. Hence, they need to have an alkaline diet. But as you'll find out, algae is the most alkaline food in the world, and you don't have to do anything else, just take algae every day. So anyways, this was why I believe her oncologist wanted her to have an alkaline diet. She did go through chemo. I did help her find some things to keep her alkaline, including the algae, and she is cancer-free now still 15 years later. That is the best news of all. So her life changed, but so did mine, because in the process of helping her, I started doing a deep dive in this plant-based nutrition world, which nobody was talking about 17 years ago. Everybody talks about it now, but 17 years ago, nope. And I just thought, man, this stuff is so powerful. Why don't we know about it? Why aren't we talking about it? And again, as I mentioned, I'm a passionate person. I like to solve problems. So I thought, you know what? I have no nutrition background. I have actually no money, but this is too powerful to walk away from. And so a little voice in my body, in my head, turns out, I think my soul said, you need to do something about this. So I gave up my 25-year corporate career, gave up all income, and I applied myself to learning about plant-based nutrition. I first went to a place called the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, got a health coaching certificate. I taught nutrition, plant-based nutrition at hospitals and corporations. And this is what led me to algae. Because as I was teaching people the importance of eating plant-based foods, vegetables, greens, whatever, I got so many complaints. It was like people were saying, I don't like vegetables, or they go bad quickly, or my kids won't eat them, or they give me gas, 1,000 reasons. And I thought, okay, clearly I can't move the needle trying to get people to eat more vegetables. I need to find a way to get them the nutrition of vegetables in a way that was effortless, simple, didn't taste bad, no gas, blah, blah, blah. And I just did a deep dive on everything I had recommended to my sister. It took me months, but then I found algae. And as soon as I started going deep into algae, turns out, as I mentioned earlier, it's the most alkaline food in the world. It is actually also the most nutrient-dense food in the world. NASA has been feeding it to the astronauts for 50 years. And when were they going to tell us that, right? And the reason why is because we have a quote from NASA that said 1 gram of algae has the same nutrition as 1,000 grams of fruits or vegetables. 1 to 1,000. There is nothing in the universe with more nutrition than algae. Also, the United Nations has endorsed algae, especially spirulina, which we'll talk about, for 50 years as the answer to world hunger. Why? Because it has the highest protein in the world, 3 times more protein than steak, chicken, or there is nothing with more protein than spirulina. It's also been used daily in Asia, where it is a multi-billion-dollar agricultural crop. Yes, you may only know algae as pond scum or closing your favorite beach. Guess what? It is a vegetable crop, and it is as big as the beef industry it is here in Asia. It's an agricultural crop. It's grown in fresh water, so yes, there is algae in the ocean, but this spirulina and chlorella, whether you buy it from Trader Joe's or from us, is grown in fresh water. It's called hydroponic. And on top of that, 2 other key things, as I mentioned, it is the most studied food in the world. The benefits we'll talk about today are documented in 100,000 scientific papers. That's a big number, right? None of which have been shared outside of Asia. And here's the best part of all. Algae can be dried, and this is what we do, dried and pressed into little tablets that we affectionately call bits because they're bits of nutrition. Each one of these tablets I'm showing you on screen, they're about the size of a baby aspirin, a green baby aspirin. Each one has the same nutrition as an entire plate of vegetables. So and when you swallow them, most people do swallow the spirulina because it's really chewy because of all that protein. When you swallow them, you get all the nourishment you need in seconds for the entire day. You could live on this actually forever. We don't recommend it, but you could because it's got 40 vitamins and minerals, highest chlorophyll in the world, highest protein in the world, safe for every age group, every food lifestyle, paleo, carnivore, vegans, it doesn't matter. And it is the most effortless way to get your nutrition. I call it your nutritional insurance. At least spirulina and chlorella is your health insurance, and I'll explain the difference. So that's how I became an algae expert, because when I read all this and I learned all this, I thought I felt a responsibility to bring it to the rest of the world. Everybody in Asia knows about it, but nobody outside of Asia does. And so and I'm a good communicator. And so I had to teach myself the science. I ultimately just last year got my PhD, but I called myself for 14 years a citizen scientist because I was completely self-taught on cell biology and evolutionary biology and metabolic health biology. And it kind of freaked me out at first because I thought, gosh, I can't believe how much I know. Is this possible? And it is possible. So I'm here to help the world, especially people here in North America, understand that right underneath our nose, and it's been here for 4 billion years, as I mentioned at the beginning, it was the first life on Earth 4 billion years ago. To put that in context, we've been here 2 million years. Algae's been here for 4 billion. It was spirulina. We'll talk about spirulina in a minute. So and there's something spiritual about being the first life on Earth. So I call spirulina spiritualina.
Yeah,
That's my algae story.
she gave me that note, and that's how I remember how to pronounce it correctly. So a lot to unpack there. The big thing that
Yes.
stands out to me, though, I mean, it truly sounds like, I've heard in other talks you call it the perfect food. So to me, it checks all the boxes, it does all the things. Is it purely just a branding issue of why we haven't really adopted it much in Western culture?
Well, no, there's some very practical reasons why people don't really know about spirulina or chlorella algae. The first one is, as I mentioned, most 99.99%, like so, virtually all of it is grown in Asia. So that's China, India, Taiwan, Korea. You can't ride your bicycle to school or drive your car to work without going by an algae farm. So it's part of their vernacular, it's part of their world. And so it's just normal to them. Taking algae is just normal. For us, what's normal is corn and wheat and soy and tomatoes and donuts. That's normal. So it's not anyone's fault. It's just that you don't grow up seeing it. So how would you even know about it? It's like there's a great analogy, a great graphic I've seen on the internet. There's a couple of fish in a fishbowl, and the grandfather fish says, "Hey boys," to the little young fish in the fishbowl, "How's the water?" And the young fish say to each other, "What's water?" Like there's it. Because they
That's their
just can't.
life.
That's their life, right? So that's the so in America it's kind of the reverse. Like, how would you ever know about algae if you've never seen it as a food item or explained to you? So that's number one. It's not grown here. By the way, my plan, we grow ours in Taiwan, which is known for having the gold standard of algae, because growing algae is like growing wine. It's not like growing broccoli. And so the sun and the climate affects it dramatically in terms of the quality and the nutritional concentration. And I drew a line from Taiwan across the globe and to America. Guess where I got? Florida, where I recently moved to. So I have full intention. It's going to be very expensive and take a lot of work, but I want to build an algae agricultural industry for America in Florida. So that's my long-term goal, because it's the same climate as Taiwan. But number two, so A, you don't know about it because it's not grown here for mass consumption. And number two, algae, as I mentioned, is a food crop. It is sort of like broccoli or tomatoes, and so there's no patents that you can get. So the food industry, the biotech industry, they have no interest in growing it or telling you about it, because there's nothing that they can protect. It's just food. My intent, however, was different from most company. I only wanted to help my sister get better, and then I wanted to help more people get better. So my intent with what I'm doing is to educate people and to help them. So I'm here to educate people about what algae is, what the nutrients are, what the science says about it, so that you can understand it. Scientists know quite a bit about, and there's a huge algae industry globally, but it's a very narrow area. I mean, people are using algae for packaging, for clothing. It's unbelievable what algae is being, but of course, none of that gets out to the media or to you. And the other problem is, even though I mentioned all this 100,000 studies done about the benefits, the reality is scientists like to talk to other scientists. They don't know how to talk to normal people like us. And so the universe was right. I was the right person because I am a good communicator. I enjoy communicating. I enjoy helping and educating people. But I had to back into the science so I could learn the science. It's harder for scientists to learn the communication skills, I think, because they like jargon and they like to go deep. But so it was easier ultimately. Did take me 15 years, I will say, to learn the science so then I could communicate it properly. So you don't know about it because nobody told you about it. But I also mentioned, just think about it. 10 years ago, you probably didn't know about chia or kiwa or matcha or collagen powder or bone broth. And these were all things that have been used in other countries for centuries. So until someone in North America started educating you and bringing you a pure, clean form of that product, it was not part of your daily life. So I'm proud that we bring you a very clean, pure, doctor-endorsed, third-party lab-tested version of spirulina and chlorella, which makes us unique in the industry. And I'm very proud that I can educate people and try to make it sort of fun so that you can switch your perception and see that algae isn't pond scum. It's the answer nutritionally to just about all of our health issues, whether it's mental health, mitochondria health, energy, children's nutrition. It's unbelievable once you start unpacking this.
I believe it. I mean, It sounds like your sister's diagnosis is what really sparked this
Oh,
journey.
absolutely. Yeah.
So when did it go from just an idea to a mission as far as that's concerned?
It's been a mission from literally the very beginning because, I felt compelled since the moment I learned about plant-based nutrition. And this is a sort of an interesting story because this is when I am so grateful because I have found my path. I have found my purpose, and there's very few people that ever get to that point. However, it's possible for everyone. But here's how you do it. You dim down all the noise in the world from your family, from society, and you need to be still and quiet to listen to what your soul is trying to speak to you, because your ego will be loud and fear-based. Your soul is always quiet, and it will never steer you wrong, but it only whispers. And if you aren't trying, and it will never, very often it will never make sense to you because you say, well, that's not possible. I don't do that now. How could I possibly do that? But so the trick is to listen to it and then have faith in it, trust it. This is trusting the universe, and then taking one step. You will never be told the full outcome, but you have to take the first step. And after that first step, the next step will be revealed to you. And then you take that step, and the next step will, and I'll show you how this works. So when I knew I wanted to help my sister, and I knew I had to do something, and I did the plant-based nutrition, and I studied it a bit on my own. I thought this is so powerful, but I need some kind of education. I need something to give me some kind of grounding. And at the time, Louise Hay was still alive. This was, again, 17, 18 years ago. And I went online and I read about a conference she was holding about discover your path. I thought, well, that's what I need. And it was literally the next weekend. So I live in Boston. I took the train down to New York for this Louise Hay conference where there were like 800, 1,000 people. And before the conference had even started, I'm standing there in the Starbucks lineup to get a tea, and the person in front of me was talking to somebody else, and I heard little snippets of our conversation. The little bit I got was, this was the most informative educational course I'd ever taken. It was great nutrition education, and here I am thinking I need to get some kind of education somewhere, and I didn't know where to even start because I didn't have any background. And here's this woman in the Starbucks lineup talking to somebody else, and I hear a little bit. So I tapped her on the shoulder and I said, do you mind me asking what program you're talking about and where is it? And so she told me it was about this Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And I just jotted it down. I thought, okay, I'm going to check that out when I get home. So I went to I did go to the conference, took the train home that night. The first thing I did when I got home was Googled Institute for Integrative Nutrition. This is in December, by the way. Turns out they were closing registration like the next day on the next course that started in January. And so I literally registered on the spot. And I didn't have any money, but I used a credit card, which got me the registration fee. And I signed up, and I started going to this course. I took a bus. At the time, because I had no money, there was this bus company that had started up, and it was so new. If you booked early enough, you're going to freak out. You could get a trip to New York from Boston for $1. So I had the entire schedule of all my courses because I had to go every other week. So I booked all of my trips there and back. I stayed with friends, slept on their couch because I would go on a Friday, do the course Saturday and Sunday, and come back on the Sunday night. So these are literally miracles. I found the course I needed to get me started. I found a way to get me to New York in an affordable way because I had zero money. And that's how I got my education to get me started on this journey. And then I just kept going. I thought, well, now that I've graduated, which was in July, I thought, what do I do now? So I thought, well, I'll put my own curriculum together, and I'll teach plant-based nutrition, and I'll contact people at companies to see if they'll just let me in for free, which they did. So I started teaching my plant-based nutrition at corporations and hospitals, but none of this was premeditated. None of it. I had no idea how I was going to execute this ability that somehow the universe had entrusted me to do, which was to help people get healthy naturally. And at that point, I hadn't even found out or discovered that algae was the platform. I was just still doing the plant-based nutrition thing. And the teaching led me to learn that the people have been told to eat more vegetables by their mothers for 20, 30, 50, 100 years, and it hasn't moved the needle. So, and I found that out myself. And so that's when I thought, well, then I need to find something that will move the needle. And that led me to algae and the algae tablets, which is what we sell now. So this is how the universe works. This is how being on your path works. This is about shutting out all the expectations. The ego says, I need to do this. I need, and it was all heart-based. It wasn't about me at all. And it's never been about me, and it will never be about me. It's about me helping the world in a way that this is why I was put on earth. And it doesn't make any sense. It didn't look like anything I'd done in the past, but I have never been happier. I know I'm at peace every single day. And I can't tell you the value of feeling peaceful every single moment. I've learned how to build a company. I've learned how to do finance. I've learned how to do package design. I've learned how to do supply chain, because nothing was going to stop me from meeting my soul promise that apparently I must have made somewhere to the universe, that I was going to bring algae to America.
I
Crazy,
love
right?
it. Oh, it is. And so much of that story resonates with me, because the way you're describing how it just kind of built over time and different, it has an amalgamation of various events. That's exactly how I feel about where I'm at today. I started with, this is back in 2018. I was just sitting there and I was in a bit of a career transition, and I found writing to be very therapeutic for me when I was going through some tough times in mental health. And I thought, well, I have this one thing that I love. I love writing. What if I just start a blog and see what happens, and just put out my story and just like write, because it feels good for me and it feels good to get it out there, but I can also make someone else feel less alone, because that's always been my central mission.
Right,
I
right.
want others to feel less alone in their journey. And then years of blogging led to me writing a book. And then writing a book, having it come out, doing podcasts. Now I've got my own show and made video content. And all of this has just been an evolution of the same thing, which is I'm trying to tell a story because I want people to feel less alone in their struggles. So when you
Right.
talk about the evolution from the algae side, that hits home for me. So
Yeah.
was there ever a time though where you were like, I'm going to give up on the company, I'm out?
N- Never, never,
Never
not
once.
Not once. I just thought, I am smart. I will figure this out. But this is why I also didn't take any investors. We're completely self-funded, bootstrap, because here's the problem. The world is on a speed train, very short attention spans, very aggressive, that hustle, that sort of side hustle. This is the word hustle that makes me nervous, because just think about it. Nature doesn't work like that. Seasons change very gradually. Children take 9 months to be born. Then they have to have years of evolution of developing skills and brain and bones and whatever. There are moments like hurricanes that come up, but generally things are evolutionary. It's just that's the natural way, and our society has flipped that. And I think we need to take back agency over what we feel is the appropriate speed of life. And I like slow life. I mean, I'm on this path to make a difference, and I have only millennials working for me who are still on their own speed train. And the reality is, and I'll share this with you, Will, I mean, I turn 70 next year, 70. I know, this is my own skin, no Botox. This is my own hair, my own teeth. I sleep well, I poop well, I travel nonstop. I got a PhD last year. So things are working for me. But I will say that as you get older, you start to learn that simplicity is truly the key to longevity and to peace. And when you're younger and you're in the middle of the hustle, you don't even think of that. And you will. I promise you, every single person will get that. But you're going to have to wait probably. But why wait till you're 70 to figure out that? Do it now. So, and the other thing I'd like to mention to people is, The problem I find is that when you're a kid, learning something new just is exciting. And you're whether it's learning a bicycle, so you fall off a couple of times, you get back on. The child never once thinks I can't do this. Never. They just get back on that bicycle, whether it's with training wheels, but children when they're young, they haven't been indoctrinated yet to be afraid to try something new, afraid to fail. When you fall off a bicycle, that's a mini failure, right? And so they should be our guides to learning how to go navigate life. Because at some point, the fear controls us more than the excitement of learning something new. And it's somewhere, I don't know where it is. It's different for different people. Sometimes it's in your teens, your 20s, your 30s, but it controls us. That fear of failure controls us. And what that does is it stifles that ability to embrace new things because you're afraid of either looking stupid, not being able to do it. And so I had to struggle with that. And I'm sure you did too, because and so for the first 15 years of me doing this, what if I can't do it? But I kept going. What if I can't do it? What if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong about all this stuff I discovered? And then finally I flipped the script and I thought, what if I'm right? What if I'm right? What if I don't do this and I won't have the chance to help people? I won't have the chance to change this terrible crisis that we are facing in. So I really encourage people to always flip the script and don't be fear-based because that's your ego. Your ego will always keep you in the path that you're in because what if you fail? And and just to tell you what I went through and still never strayed. So I mentioned I had no money. I seriously had no money, but I was not going to not do this. I went through bankruptcy, personal bankruptcy. I had zero money. Here I am, an MBA from Canada. My school was the equivalent of Harvard, filing personal bankruptcy. How embarrassing was that? But I wouldn't let that stop me. My apartment, my condo was in foreclosure for 3 years. I thought I would come home one day with, they always see those, foreclosure signs on the doors nailed to the, I was so afraid that was going to happen. Never happened. So I kept applying to get my, my mortgage reassigned, and finally after 3 years and 10 attempts they finally did. My car was repossessed. I didn't have money to continue the payments. These are all hugely embarrassing things that happened to me. My family just thought mentally had lost it because you have no money, all these things are going, get a job. But I couldn't. This voice inside me just said, keep going. Keep going. You can do this. Keep going. And so not once did I ever dream of stopping. Not ever, ever, ever. And that's why I know that this is what I'm here for. And so I'm not saying other people have to go through as much crisis and shit that I did, but I just want people to know that you look at people who are successful, and I can promise you in 99% of the cases, they didn't start that way. I just watched a great video. It's called Very, Very Ralph. It was about Ralph Lauren. I think it's HBO. And it was his entrepreneurial journey. He had nothing. And by the way, his original name was Schlitzschitz. And he changed his name to Lauren because his whole family did, because they got tired of being referred to as the Shits. And so he was from the Bronx. He had no money. But he loved style. And so he just put together one step at a time. He learned how to make ties, and he started with ties. He sold ties to Bloomingdale's. And so, and now fast forward 30 years later, he's one of the wealthiest people in the world, has this huge Ralph Lauren empire, but he didn't start that way. He started with an idea that was nothing like his background, but he just felt compelled to do this. It's a great movie. But I thought, man, that was sort of a bit like me. I just knew there was something I had to do, and I just couldn't not do it. So I did it. And 15 years later, we finally, I wasn't planning on building a company. I just wanted to help my sister. And then suddenly things evolved, and here I have this big company now, and we're national, global. So, and changing lives, I will point out.
And, because the way you're describing it, like the quote that keeps ringing in my head as you're going through that is like, embarrassment is the cost of entry. If you aren't willing to look foolish as a beginner, you'll never become a graceful master.
Yeah, that's a
Y
really good point. Yeah.
yeah, it's, I believe it was boxer Ed Lattimore who said that,
Yeah.
and it's such a true point though, because I think people see somebody who is at the top of their game, and all they think in their head is like, "Wow, I just wanna be that." And they don't realize, like, they had to go through so much we all suck at stuff when we
Yeah.
first get going, like, we just do.
Exactly.
That's no
Yeah.
Michael Jordan didn't pick up a basketball one day and is like, "Oh, and now I'm Michael Jordan." No, it's you had to miss a lot of shots, you had to do all the things, and I think we do that, especially in today's world with social media where we're so keen on showcasing our wins. We talk about the big funding, we talk about, the big successes, but very rarely do you hear someone talk about their failure.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I just
Mm,
did. And even when
yeah,
I
you
was
did.
by myself for the first 5 years, I built the company in my condo. We were in my condo for 8 years. There wasn't an inch of space in my condo that finally I did get my uh, my mortgage rejiggered, but the bathtub was full of inventory. I had literature everywhere in my living room. When we first started, we were hand labeling. I would hire interns from college and they would come and help me hand label. When I did shows, again, I had no money. I would pack all the show stuff into a suitcase, take a bus to the conference, lugging a bus. It didn't matter. I live in Boston, so half the time the weather was, pretty crappy. So you're schlepping through slush and mud and dragging your suitcase full of your literature and your banners on a bus. But again, this is because I knew this was not about me trying to be a huge success. This was about me responding to my soul that said, the world needs this, and we've picked you, Miss Catherine, to be the one. um, and ironically, as I mentioned, you can't be in Asia without taking algae every day. The Japanese have the lowest cancer rates, the best longevity, great skin and hair, um, and they take algae every single day. So in Asia, taking spirulina and chlorella is absolutely normal. It's just as normal as here as someone taking Dunkin' Donuts for a coffee break or something. So I had the challenge of learning how to yeah, exactly, find a way to communicate, learn the science, and then communicate the benefits in ways that Americans could understand, which, took a lot of work to find good I mean, I designed everything, all the design packaging, because I can't help anyone unless I can get it into them. And to get it into them, they have to buy it. So anyways, I'm changing a perception of algae that is incorrect or incomplete, I should say. You're not wrong. Your algae is a pond scum in your aquarium or your swimming pool, but it's also the most nutritionally dense food when it's grown carefully as an agricultural crop. And if the astronauts have been taking it for 50 years, that alone should give you the tip off. There's something pretty good about this stuff.
I would say so. So in the Asian cultures where it is more common, are they taking it similarly the way you package it, or is it like incorporated in their food, or how are they best
It's
consuming it?
all of that. So they
Okay.
they they grow it and put it into these tablets so that you can swallow them or chew them. They also make it in powder. But here's the really interesting thing. You know how we put chia seeds or, different seeds into our snack foods and our crackers? Well, they put algae into everything. Their protein, their crackers, their snack foods, because of the high protein and high chlorophyll. There is nothing with more protein than algae, spirulina and chlorella, and there's nothing with more chlorophyll than algae. And by the way, I know people know chlorophyll, it's what makes plants green, but our soils are so damaged that there's literally no nutrition in our plants anymore, even if you are eating them. So you're also not getting chlorophyll. And I'm going to show you a picture. Here's the chemical composition of your hemoglobin and the chemical composition of chlorophyll. They're virtually identical. So chlorophyll builds your blood, and it's been used for those purposes for hundreds and hundreds of years because it's very healing to your blood. And of course, when you have healthy blood, you have a healthy body and a healthy brain. But there's not enough chlorophyll in our food anymore because the soils just don't have enough nutrients. Chlorella algae has 500 times more chlorophyll than arugula. and 25 times more than liquid chlorophyll. So if you are taking liquid chlorophyll, that's great, but you want to up level to chlorella algae because you'll get way more, and it's very, very important for healing your blood, and which of course will be important for being healthy. So that's just one sort of little nugget. And I guess while I'm talking about nuggets, another one is about the protein. As I mentioned, spirulina has the highest protein in the world. Well, animal protein, your body can't
Can you bring it
absorb.
over just a tad? There we
There
go.
you go. Your body can't absorb animal protein as it is. It has to break it down into something called amino acids, and that can take days. And so maybe you eat, and you may not absorb all of it as aminos. So maybe you eat 50 grams of chicken, which is about the size of a fist, but the average person ends up absorbing only 10% as aminos. So you ate 50 grams of protein, but you only got 5 grams of aminos. And then you have something called collagen that are in smaller peptides. They're just individual aminos, so they get absorbed faster. But algae, the protein is already in individual aminos. And the reason that's important is because there's no work for your body to break down the protein to get access to the aminos like with animal protein or collagen. So it's virtually 100% bioavailable. It's not just what you eat, it's what you absorb that counts. And so not only is it rapid absorption, especially with spirulina, which is not even a plant, it's a bacteria, so no cellulose wall. So not only is it bioavailable, it has 18 of the 20 aminos, including the 9 your body can't make. So it's a complete protein. And by the way, we were talking about being a perfect food. We all know that mother's breast milk is the perfect food. Well, I saw a chart that showed all the amino acids in mother's breast milk, and I thought, gosh, that looks awfully familiar. So I went and looked at our chart of amino acids in spirulina, and they're exactly the same aminos in exactly the same proportion. And this explains why in Asia, when babies are born as premature and they can't digest mother's breast milk, the only thing that keeps them alive is spirulina or chlorella in water. And now I understand why. It's because it has the same aminos. It also has other things like GLA and essential fatty acids that are found in mother's breast milk. So you can't have mother's breast milk after the age of 2. So spirulina really is your second perfect food, and you can have it at any age for the rest of your life. And it will give you the same kind of nourishment that mother's breast milk would do. Amazing, right? That's why I call it Mother Nature's breast milk for us, because it was first life on Earth, but it was a gift to us from Mother Nature. I can't take credit for algae. I will take credit for growing it carefully to preserve all the nutrients for you.
So, okay. So we talked a lot about the science in terms of like I can hear what you're saying, the amino acids. I hear the vitamins, I hear all the stuff that's coming around. So how does that going to make me feel individually if I've never taken it before? I bought in now. I'm going to get energy bits.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. So what are the feelings and physical traits that I'm going to exude
Sure.
because I took this?
Yes, well, great question. So spirulina and chlorella are completely different algae, they do completely different things in your body. So I'm going to walk you through what the differences are, what they do in your body, how soon you'll feel them, and why you need both of them. So spirulina, as I mentioned, is a bacteria. It's called a cyanobacteria, first life on Earth, and it's called a blue-green algae because it has 2 pigments in it. The green one, which we're all familiar with, chlorophyll, but spirulina also has a second pigment in it called phycocyanin, which is spelled Phycocyanin. This blue pigment doesn't exist anywhere else in nature and has amazing healing properties, all proven in science, including the ability to kill cancer cells. But I just want you to know that spirulina is called a blue-green algae because it has 2 pigments. So what does spirulina do? It satisfies your hunger. It gives you energy mentally and physically. It helps with your brain function, and we'll talk about primarily because of the a nutrient in it that heals your mitochondria. So we call our spirulina ENERGYbits to make it easy for people to understand, and we put it in a blue package because it's a blue-green algae, and it was the first life on Earth came from ocean. Why does it satisfy your hunger? It has 60% protein. It's loaded with essential fatty acids, so it gets into your bloodstream because it doesn't have any cellulose wall. And you will be, we recommend a minimum of 10 tablets to get started. But if you're trying to correct a health condition, or if you want to have it as a meal, 30 tablets, and we do have them in little pouches of 30, is your better amount. What you will feel, because it gives you energy, isn't like getting a rush from a stimulant like caffeine, chemicals, sugar, because the energy that spirulina creates for you is at the cellular level. At the cellular level, there's these things called mitochondria. They generate all of your cellular energy, which is called ATP. So when you take spirulina, and I can walk you through why it helps the mitochondria function better, it's like putting a log on the fire. So you get steady, quiet energy, which is different from a stimulant, which gives you a rush and then a crash. So what you will feel when you take spirulina, you'll need at least 10, 15 or 20 or even 30 is better, is if you chew them, I will admit, most people do swallow spirulina because it's got all that protein in it, so it kind of sticks to your teeth a little bit. But you will feel satisfied. Your hunger will be gone. It won't be feeling stuffed like a big spaghetti dinner, but your hunger will be gone. And you'll feel, the best way I describe it is you feel fresh. Your mind will be alert. Your body will, because it's loaded with B vitamins, you will have energy you'll notice if you take it before a workout, you'll run further or faster, or you'll lift more and you won't even notice it. So you just feel on point. That's it. It's quiet energy, and it's because it's all done at the cellular level, and I can do a deeper dive into the mitochondria later on. So, because one of the things that this is so good for you, because I know you talk a lot about this a lot, is your brain. And why is that? Because your brain has the most mitochondria, 2 million mitochondria per cell. And because the nutrients in here, there's an antioxidant called, it's a long word, superoxide dismutase. It's known for healing your mitochondria. And so because your brain has the most mitochondria, the first thing that it helps is your brain. It's like the lights go back on in your brain instantly. So 20 minutes, you'll notice that you're just more alert, and you're not imagining it. It's through science. It's what's really going on in the mitochondria level. So very energizing, doesn't take long, 20 to 30 minutes sooner if you chew it. You'll be satisfied. You'll be on point. You'll be fresh. No rush, no crash. But that's spirulina, brain food and mitochondria food. Chlorella is a different algae. It showed up about 1 billion years after spirulina, and it is a green algae. So it only has that one pigment, chlorophyll. And it does belong to the plant kingdom, which is why we package it in a green package and we put a leaf on it. So you'll know that it's related to the plant's kingdom. So what does it do? Well, it won't satisfy your hunger and it won't give you energy, but what it does is it builds your immune system, and more importantly, it pulls out toxins, heavy metals, every single lead, mercury, radiation, glyphosate, pesticide. For athletes, it pulls out lactic acid. It also pulls out alcohol. It doesn't matter whether it's wine, beer, or spirits. You take this after you drink or after a sport. We generally recommend it before bed because that's when your body goes through a detox repair cycle. So when you have chlorella in your system while you're sleeping, you're getting your beauty rest. It's like having the cleanup crew in there pulling out aluminum from your brain, glyphosate from your cells, and it stimulates what's known as peristalsis, a fancy word for bowel movement. I tell people, the stuff that's sitting in your bowel is stuff your body didn't want. And so if you don't have regular bowel movements, it's like having a garbage truck parked in front of your house permanently, right? That's not pretty. It's smelly and not pretty at all. So I affectionately say chlorella will get rid of the junk in your trunk. And so,
That's
right?
awesome.
Right?
That's awesome.
And let's face it, people don't like to talk about bowel movements. It's not your average cocktail conversation, but if you're on medication, if you're traveling, if you're stressed, if you're eating dairy, if you're eating processed foods, that's probably 90% of us, you are probably constipated. And lots of people take fiber to help with that. Well, guess what? You don't have to ever eat another vegetable in your life again if you're taking chlorella every day, because it has fiber that feeds your gut biome. The high chlorophyll kills bacteria, and it stimulates a bowel movement. It does everything that vegetables do for you. Now, if you don't like the flavor, you can just swallow them. But I will say most people do like the flavor of chlorella. It tastes like a soy nut or a pistachio nut or something. In fact, it tastes delicious with pistachios. So this is kind of like you can have it any time of day, but definitely take it before bed because this will clean out all the stuff that your body doesn't want, the junk in your trunk. The chlorophyll is like, it's very cleansing. It's like giving your body a shower from the inside. We all take a shower from the outside, but the average adult now has 700 toxins in their bodies, and this is causing health issues in your brain, in your mitochondria, in your stomach lining. And when you have toxins like that sitting on your cell, what's called your cell receptors, even if you're putting good nutrition in, like spirulina, the nutrition can't get in if the toxins are sitting on the cell wall. It's like someone stealing your parking spot. You can't park if somebody else is already in there. So chlorella, this is why the two of them work beautifully. Chlorella will pull out the toxin. It's like calling the police and getting rid of that car that stole your parking spot. They drag them out of there. So now the nutrition can get in. So now you can park. See how they work together? So if you need some understanding, simple things to remember what makes them different, I've got a couple things for you. Think of spirulina as nutrition in. Chlorella is toxins out. Nutrition in, toxins out. The other way to think about it is because spirulina helps your mitochondria and your brain has so much mitochondria, think of spirulina as brain food. Okay, brain food. Chlorella works on your stomach, your colon, your digestion, your immune system, which are all in your gut. So chlorella is gut food. So you've got brain food and gut food. And of course, they're joined by something called the vagus nerve, so they affect each other. So another way to think of it is spirulina in the morning, chlorella at night. So spirulina is your AM or afternoon or lunch or whatever. Chlorella is your nighttime. So I'm trying to figure out. Oh, I have another fun one because I travel a lot, and sometimes I order room service when I'm at a hotel, and I finish, and I think, wow, I'm ready for the day. I'm nourished. I'm energized. I'm out the door. And I thought, that's sort of like spirulina. So think of spirulina as room service. And then I would come back to my hotel afterwards and the garbage is taken out and it's all tidied up and cleaned up. And I thought, that's sort of how chlorella works in your body. It cleans everything out, tidies it all up for you. So if this helps, think of spirulina as room service and chlorella as housekeeping. And that will keep it clear for you.
I like it. So let me ask you this then, based on the way you described like the added benefits. Does it make sense then to do chlorella first to give your body a chance to get rid of some of that? To your point, if the garbage truck is parked outside your house, would you want all that taken out first and then start the spirulina?
Well, usually, the body is set up to remove toxins during your sleep. So, and by the way, chlorella has the highest tryptophan in the world, which is a precursor to melatonin, which will help you get to a sleep. So we generally recommend the chlorella before bed because that's when the toxins are being pulled out. And then you have a bowel movement in the morning. This is usually, not always, and everyone's different, but this is the natural process of your body functioning optimally. The garbage that was not needed was eliminated while you were sleeping, and then you eliminate. By the way, your body removes toxins 4 ways. One is through sweat, breath, urine, and bowel movements. So, and if you are doing things like red light therapy or saunas, which I really encourage you because those are another pathway to remove toxins. We still always recommend spirulina beforehand because it gets absorbed quickly. So while you're having the red light or the sauna, you're being nourished, and it does have chlorophyll, which is cleansing. And then after each of those, or a cold plunge, after any of those biohacks, then you take chlorella afterwards because it's the cleanup crew. Because when you're going through all those different activities for biohacking, you're going through your cells go through something called autophagy, which is cellular cleanup. It's sort of like, if you have teenagers, very often throughout the week, they just keep throwing their stuff on their floor and their bed, and eventually you can't see anything. And on the weekend, mom says, clean up your room. I can't, or, you're grounded. So that's what chlorella does. It cleans up the stuff in your room. So then things can be nourished. And autophagy is the process by which your body does that. Your cells do that natural cleaning. And so when you do any of these biohacks, the sauna, the red light, or the cold plunges, your body is releasing toxins in the cleanup process. And so you want to have the cleanup crew in there to mop up all the stuff that was released. By the way, I want to point out people who are on a weight loss program or a GLP-1 program. Please, please, please take spirulina algae tablets every single day. Why? Because when you aren't eating much, and you're probably not eating much protein, you can face muscle wasting. Your body needs amino acids to build proteins. These are not just proteins in your muscle, but also proteins in your DNA. You need proteins for everything, amino acids for everything. And spirulina will help you prevent any kind of health condition when you are losing weight. And there's only 1 calorie per tablet. So you could have 30 for lunch for 30 calories and you're fully nourished. But then you want to take the chlorella too. And why is that? Because as you're losing weight, your body is releasing toxins. Why? Because your fat is where your body stores most of your toxins. So when you lose fat, these toxins are being released into your body, and you don't want them to be reabsorbed. So that's why chlorella is advantageous for GLP-1 and weight loss as well, because it will mop up all those toxins, get rid of them so they don't get reabsorbed into your body. So the reality is you could take both of them any time of day because, again, they're not a stimulant. They will not interfere with sleep or anything. Chlorella will help with digestion, so you could take it after meals if you want, but we know you'll get maximum value before bed. And again, 10 spirulina in the morning and 10 chlorella at night are your starter amounts. But if you want maximum benefits, or you're trying to correct or prevent a health condition, 30 would be a better number. And they're tiny. You can grind them up and put them in a smoothie. You can mix them with your salad or trail mix, any amount, because they're food. Remember, they're an agricultural crop, and I'll probably just show you this picture to prove it. These are pictures of spirulina and chlorella algae farms. So they are grown, as I mentioned, hydroponically in fresh water. It's farmed food. You're probably familiar with tomatoes being grown in fresh water. So when you take spirulina and chlorella algae, you're giving your body a foundational whole food. It is not a supplement. A lot of companies don't even know what they're selling, and they put a supplement label on the back of their food, their packaging. But remember, 1 tablet has the same nutrition as an entire plate of vegetables. Kids can have them too. In fact, please give them to your children. You could give them half of their age. So if they're 10, give them 5 a day. If they're, 6, give them 3 a day. They can have more. Like some people are satisfied with 1 egg. Some people need 3. It's really your personal choice. We want you to be nourished and have the correct focus, mental focus. But this is spirulina because it's so much a brain food. Remember, this helps with ADHD, any kind of autism, any kind of children on the spectrum. It's incredible for brain health, depression. There's a terrific book I'd like to recommend by the Dr. Chris Palmer. He wrote it 3 years ago. It's called Brain Energy. He's a psychiatrist and a member of the faculty at the Harvard Medical School. And in his book, his entire book talks about how all brain disorders, post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety, everything ultimately is due to damaged mitochondria. And because spirulina has a nutrient in it called superoxide dismutase, not found in any other food in the world in medicinal quantities, this heals your mitochondria in your brain. There's 25,000 studies documenting how superoxide dismutase heals your mitochondria. So it's, it's irrefutable. It's pretty much a slam dunk. But nobody knows you can get superoxide dismutase from spirulina, but only if it's raw. And all the cheaper algae, they use high heat to get to market quickly because they're lower priced, so they have to sell more, so they cut corners, and they use high heat to dry it. And superoxide dismutase, that critical antioxidant, is also an enzyme. And so enzymes are deactivated by high heat. So when you get the lesser expensive algae, if they've used high heat, it's not brain food anymore. It's just food. You could have raw or frozen spirulina because, again, it hasn't been exposed to high heat. So you'll still, but that tastes terrible and expires quickly and you can't travel with it. These things you could travel with, you can take to the gym, you can throw it in your lunch bag. And this is why I loved it so much. These tablets make it so easy. It's better than a greens powder. I don't know about you, but if you've ever traveled and the lid on your powder came off. I mean, it's messy. Never happens with the tablets. They're little controlled. We have these little cute little tins you could travel with, or the individual pouches. I've done everything I can to make this effortless for everybody.
It's funny you bring up the greens powder because that's what I was going to ask next was if, I mean, I feel like I see AG1 or Bloomer, and it's not anything against any of those people. It's just, I feel like I see those everywhere, but no one's talking about algae. So if I'm someone who's taking a greens powder every day, why would you maybe recommend yours instead?
Oh boy, that's a nice lead-in question. So, and and with HE1, hey, God bless them because they started their company quite a while ago when nobody was getting greens either. Their intent was to make it easy for people to get greens. And they've done a great job, and they've had like $150 million invested in them. And so they have lots of money to spend on lots of advertising. So, I wish I had their budget, but I'm, a little guy and little gal, self-funded, whatever. So here's why you want algae instead of powders, and nothing against AG1 or any of the powders. But first of all, they beat their chests about having 75, 50 or 75 ingredients in their powders, right? Well, if there's 75 ingredients, you can be darn sure there's not much of anything in there. So it's really more of a marketing ploy than anything. I'm sorry, it just is what it is. Algae has one ingredient. Everybody knows, if you've been following any kind of nutrition advice from anybody, the fewer number of ingredients are better because it means you're eating real food. An orange has one ingredient. A piece of lettuce has one ingredient. So does algae. But algae has the most nutrients, one ingredient, but the most nutrient-dense food than in the entire universe, 1,000 times more than any other vegetable. So you're getting a simple whole food and with one ingredient, but dense with nutrition. Powders are not a food. They are categorized as a supplement because they're a blend of other things. And here's the real problem with powders. They have to use high heat to mix them. It's just the way it is. Same with supplements. And what does high heat do? It deactivates enzymes and nutrients, including the blue pigment that's in spirulina, the called phycocyanin, which have all these wonderful healing properties. So if you're not doing any greens and you take AG1, at least that's better. But if you want to up level even more, you would take algae, particularly as algae tablets, because algae tablet is a food. Ours are not exposed to high heat. The greens are a supplement, are exposed to high heat, don't really have much nutrition per nutrient as you would find in the algae tablets, and they're messy. And here's the other thing. If you don't like the flavor of green, I mean, you're pinching your nose and you're swallowing that stuff to get it down. If you don't like the flavor of green, we got your back. All you do is swallow the tablets. There's no repeat. It's not like fish oil. They go down, they stay down, zero flavor. Kids love them, pets love them. This is like the answer for children and guys, because guys are notorious for not liking vegetables. You never have to eat a green powder or a vegetable again. Same with collagen. You don't have to take collagen powder because algae has more collagen than collagen powder. So that's the story about how it compares with a greens powder. It's more nutrient dense, it's food, and it's effortless taste. There's no taste if you swallow it, and it's better for you if you are using a brand like ours that doesn't use high heat, so you get the full nutritional value. I tell people, if you get something that's they've used high heat, whether it's a powder or a supplement, it's like getting a great deal on a fabulous car, except when you lift the hood, you find out there's no engine. So sometimes things look pretty good, but when you start digging down, maybe maybe so much. Algae is no drama. We're all about just being the voice of Mother Nature, bringing you something that's been around for 4 billion years, feeding the ocean for 4 billion years, feeding Asians for 60 years. It's the real deal. And when you've hit the truth, it just resonates with you. There's no gimmicks. It just is what it is. In fact, to help people understand the various benefits of algae, I've recorded now 200 teaching videos. They're only about a minute and a half. You can find them on Instagram or on our website, ENERGYbits.com, just to help people understand what the different things are. But after 15 years, I'm more in love with algae than I ever have been because I've learned even more. In fact, I wrote this little book called The Algae Love Story. I'm just looking for it's a booklet. Because I'm so in love with algae, and my goal is to help other people fall in love with it too, because it will love your body and your brain back to health. Whatever health condition you are facing, it the nutrients in algae. So it's not algae that's doing the miracles here. It's the nutrients found in algae that have been documented in science to have all these incredible benefits, but are not found in any other food or even other supplements. So it's the real deal. It's Mother Nature. You can never go wrong with Mother Nature. I tell people, it's just the things that if you observe Mother Nature, the things from Mother Nature are usually free: sleep, movement, sunlight, breath, peace. And I put algae right in there because it's not free, but when we have a discount code for you and when you use it and you take 10 tablets a day, it costs you $1 a day, right? I mean, you can't even buy a cup of coffee for under $5 these days. So $1 a day to nourish your body with spirulina and $1 a day to build your immune system, it doesn't get any better than that.
No, it does not. I think that's the mic drop moment of this. Just how does it get better than that? So, Catherine, I feel like I gained a wealth of knowledge in this, just about the entire space, understanding algae, and also your story. I mean, it's a powerful one that motivated you to get into this space, and your resilience is admirable to anybody listening. So, where can people find you? Where can they learn more? How do we make sure that we stay on top of everything that is algae in your
Yeah.
life?
Well, our website is ENERGYbits.com, ENERGYBITS. Um, and we have the best value, I would say. We have these large bags of 1,000 tablets. And each bag, by the way, has the same nutrition, using that quote from NASA, as 551 pounds of vegetables. Doesn't matter which brand you get. And to put that visually into context, that's about 30 grocery carts of vegetables right here. And by the way, this last 3 years, vegetables will go bad after 3 or 4 days. 3 days versus 3 years. I know which one I would want. So come to visit us at energybits.com. This is your best value with the bed discount. It turns out to $105, I think. And if you take 10 a day, it will cost you $1 a day. The discount code is RESET, all one word, RESET. And we also have fun canisters that come with a bag inside them, and they have this little opening. I designed everything so it would be easy for people, because maybe you don't want to put your hand in the
So,
in the
can you bring it
bag.
over a little bit?
There you
Yeah.
go. So you can put the bag. You just shake the tablets out of the canister, and then we also have individual pouches that are great for traveling with. There's 30 tablets in a pouch. So I mean, if you started with 10 a day, this would last you 3 days. Try to take more if you can. We're also very active on social media, Instagram. Our handle is at ENERGYbits, and we're Facebook and all that sort of jazz. But so even if you don't want to buy anything, just come and learn about the products, because we write a full blog. Now that you know a little bit about algae, you'll start seeing it everywhere, because the world knows that this is really our last shot at getting nourished properly. And it's grown organically. There's no pesticides involved. And I have a plan to help feed the world with algae, which will take me another 10 years. I'm 15 years in, so I figure I got another 15 years to go. We want to turn this situation around. Mental health, our physical health, chronic conditions like heart disease and cancer, and children are just so undernourished, and autism, and it's just a disaster, and not to mention the environmental. Strangely enough, algae will correct or help correct virtually every single one of those conditions naturally from food. So I really invite people to explore it a little bit and learn more, so that you can be sure that you're getting the best value from Mother Nature's best gift to us. And I just happen to be the one telling you about it.
Well, I appreciate your willingness to do that. And so, yeah, check her out on social media, check out the website, discount code RESET. And as always, everyone, be kind to each other. Catherine, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Will. Thank you.